I'll tell you the truth most women will never admit. When we're falling out of love, we don't just disappear overnight. We leave verbal breadcrumbs, specific phrases that reveal exactly where our hearts have gone. These aren't the obvious "we need to talk" moments. These are the subtle linguistic shifts that happen weeks or months before we ever say the words, "it's over." Listen carefully, because what I'm about to share with you will change how you interpret female communication forever. These 6 phrases aren't just words. They're emotional GPS coordinates that show you exactly where you stand in her heart. And once you understand this language, you'll never be blindsided by a breakup again. Before I walk you through these 6 phrases, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what city you're watching from. This channel is where we cut through the pretty lies and give you the raw truth about relationships. I know these phrases because I've used them. I've heard my friends use them in coffee shops, in late-night phone calls, in those moments when we think no man is listening. And every single time, they mean exactly what you think they mean, even when we swear they don't. The reason most men miss these signals isn't because they're not smart enough. It's because women have become masters at delivering rejection in ways that sound like anything but rejection. We've learned to break hearts with kindness, to create distance with care, and to end relationships while making it seem like we're trying to save them. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on all of it. Phrase number 1, I'm just tired. When a woman starts using "I'm just tired" as her default response to everything, intimacy, conversations, plans, your touch, she's not talking about physical exhaustion. She's talking about emotional fatigue from pretending to feel something she no longer feels. This becomes our go-to phrase because it's impossible to argue with. You can't debate someone's tiredness. You can't demand energy from someone who claims they don't have it. It's the perfect shield that keeps you at arm's length while making us look like the victim of circumstances rather than the architect of distance. The genius of this phrase is that it makes you the bad guy if you push back. What kind of man demands attention from a tired woman? What kind of partner doesn't show compassion for exhaustion? So you back off, you give space, you try to be understanding. Exactly what we need you to do while we figure out our next move. Here's what we're really tired of. Tired of faking excitement when you touch us. Tired of pretending your jokes are funny. Tired of acting like we want to build a future we can't even imagine anymore. But here's where it gets really manipulative. We'll use different types of tiredness for different situations. I'm too tired for sex, when we don't want physical intimacy. I'm too tired to talk about it, when we don't want emotional connection. I'm too tired to make plans, when we don't want to commit to a future with you. Each type of tiredness is a different wall we're building around ourselves, and you're on the outside of all of them. The truth is, energy doesn't just disappear, it gets redirected. When we say we're too tired for you but suddenly have energy for girls' nights, new hobbies, or late-night phone calls with friends, that's not exhaustion, that's priority reallocation. We use tiredness as a soft rejection because it feels kinder than the truth. The truth is, we're not tired of life, we're tired of this life with you. We're tired of the routine, the predictability, the settled feeling that used to be comfort but now feels like a cage. And here's the psychological trick we're playing on ourselves too. By calling it tiredness, we don't have to face the fact that we're choosing to withdraw. We can tell ourselves it's temporary, that once we rest we'll feel better about the relationship. But deep down, we know that no amount of sleep will bring back feelings that have already died. And the cruelest part, we'll use this phrase right up until the day we leave, because it keeps you hoping that rest will fix what's already broken. Phrase number 2. You're reading too much into it. When your gut tells you something is wrong, and we respond with, "You're reading too much into it," or "You're overthinking," we're not correcting your perception. We're protecting our secret. This phrase is designed to make you question your own instincts, because your instincts are usually right. We know you're not overthinking. We know you're picking up on the subtle changes in our tone, our touch, our presence. But we're not ready to face the conversation that comes with admitting you're right, so we make you the problem instead. This is gaslighting disguised as gentle correction. The devastating effectiveness of this phrase lies in how it targets masculine psychology. Men are taught to be logical, to solve problems, to not be emotional. So when we suggest you're being overly emotional or paranoid, it hits a nerve. You don't want to be seen as the needy, insecure boyfriend, so you silence your own instincts. This phrase is psychological warfare disguised as reassurance. We're training you to stop trusting yourself so we can keep living in the space between truth and lies. But here's what's really happening when we say this. We're buying time. Time to figure out what we want. Time to explore other options. Time to slowly detach without having to explain ourselves. It's emotional stalling while we work up the courage to face reality. The reason this works so well is because most men don't want to be seen as insecure or controlling. Society has taught you that questioning a woman's word makes you the villain. So you back down, apologize for having concerns, and give us exactly the space we need to continue pulling away. Every time you accept this phrase and stop questioning what you're observing, you're giving us permission to continue the slow fade. We start to see you as someone who can be managed, someone who won't push for truth, someone who will accept our version of reality even when it contradicts what you're experiencing. And here's the psychological manipulation we're often not even conscious of. By making you doubt your perception, we're also making ourselves feel less guilty. If you're overthinking, then maybe what we're doing isn't as bad as it feels. Maybe we're not really pulling away. Maybe you're just being paranoid. We say this phrase knowing it will make you feel crazy, because a confused man is easier to manage than a man who sees clearly. Phrase number 3, we need space. When we say, we need space, or I need time to think, we're not asking for a pause. We're requesting a trial separation. This is our way of testing what life feels like without you before we make it permanent. Space requests sound reasonable and mature, which is exactly why we use them. It's harder to argue against someone asking for space than someone asking for a breakup, but the psychology is the same. We're creating distance to see if we miss you or if we feel relief. The word we in we need space is particularly manipulative because it makes it sound like this is something we both need, something that will benefit the relationship. But the truth is, this is entirely about what we need. We're just using inclusive language to make it easier for you to accept. Here's what we're really doing during that space. We're living the single life while keeping you as a backup plan, just in case our freedom doesn't feel as good as we thought it would. During these space periods, we're not sitting alone reflecting on our relationship. We're rediscovering who we are without you in the picture. We're staying out later, talking to other people, making decisions without considering your feelings. We're practicing being independent, but here's the part we never tell you. We're also testing other connections. Maybe there's someone we've been curious about, someone who's been showing interest. The space gives us permission to explore that without technically cheating. We can flirt, we can go on dates, we can see what else is out there, all under the umbrella of figuring ourselves out. Space isn't about fixing problems or gaining clarity about our feelings. It's about testing whether we can be happy without you. And if the answer is yes, which it usually is by the time we ask for space, then the space becomes permanent. And here's how we know we're not coming back. During the space, we stop missing the relationship and start missing the idea of having someone. If we find ourselves wanting companionship but not specifically wanting you, that's when we know it's over. The cruelest part about asking for space is that we already know what we'll discover during it. We're just giving ourselves permission to feel it fully. Phrase number 4, you deserve better. When we tell you you deserve better, or you're too good for me, we're not being self-deprecating or fishing for compliments. We're confessing. We're telling you that we know we're not giving you what you deserve because our heart isn't in it anymore. This phrase is our attempt to ease our own guilt about emotionally checking out. By making it about your worthiness rather than our lack of feelings, we can position ourselves as the selfless one who wants the best for you, even if it means sacrifice. The manipulation here is subtle but powerful. We're making ourselves the martyr while making you feel like you should be grateful for our selflessness. We're painting our inability to love you properly as a noble sacrifice we're making for your benefit. But here's the thing we're not telling you. We're not saying you deserve better because we want to be better. We're saying it because we've already decided we don't want to try. You deserve better is how we start preparing you for the inevitable. It's emotional conditioning. We're planting the seed that this relationship isn't working, but we're doing it in a way that makes us look caring rather than cruel. This phrase usually comes after we've already started comparing you to other possibilities, whether real people or just fantasies of what else might be out there. When we say you deserve better, what we really mean is we think we deserve different. Here's the psychological game we're playing. By telling you that you deserve better, we're actually testing your self-worth. A man with strong boundaries would hear this and think, if she thinks I deserve better, maybe I do. But we're hoping you'll fight for us, prove that you want us specifically, convince us that we're enough. And if you do fight for us after we say this, it actually makes us respect you less. Because deep down, we know we're not giving you our best, and a man who would settle for less than our best isn't a man we can look up to. We're not trying to build you up when we say this. We're trying to build ourselves an exit ramp that doesn't make us look like the villain. Phrase number 5, I'm not ready for anything serious. This is the phrase we use when we want to keep you around, but downgrade your status. When we say, I'm not ready for anything serious, we're not talking about timing. We're talking about you. We're ready for serious, just not serious with you. This phrase is our way of keeping options open while slowly backing away from commitment. It sounds like a personal limitation, like something we need to work on, but the reality is, we're just not feeling it strongly enough to want to go deeper with you specifically. This phrase is how we keep you at arm's length while testing other waters. We're telling you not to expect progression, not to plan a future, not to get too attached, but we're doing it in a way that sounds like self-awareness rather than rejection. I'm not ready for anything serious is our safety net. It gives us permission to date other people, to keep our options open, to pull back whenever things start feeling too couple-like, all while making it seem like it's about our emotional availability rather than our lack of genuine interest. What we're really saying is that we don't see long-term potential with you, but we're not ready to let go completely. Maybe we enjoy the attention, maybe we're scared of being alone, or maybe we just haven't found something better yet. We say this thinking it protects your feelings, but what we're really doing is stringing you along while we figure out what we actually want. And increasingly, that's becoming clear that it's not you. Phrase number 6, maybe we should take a break. When we suggest taking a break, we're proposing a trial divorce. This isn't about fixing problems or gaining perspective. It's about seeing what our life feels like without you in it. The word maybe makes it sound tentative, but we've usually already decided. Breaks are how we create emotional distance without the finality of an actual breakup. It gives us permission to explore other options, to flirt, to imagine different futures, all while technically still being in a relationship with you. The psychological safety of a break is that it feels reversible. We can tell ourselves and you that this isn't permanent, that we're just taking time to figure things out. But in our hearts, we're already testing the waters of life without you. The break isn't the solution, it's the preview. We're showing you what the end looks like, while still giving ourselves the option to come back if we don't like what we find out there. Taking a break is our soft landing strategy. It's less jarring than, I want to break up, and gives us an escape route if we change our minds. But here's what we're not telling you. By the time we suggest a break, we're already emotionally prepared for it to become permanent. During the break, we're not missing you the way you're missing us. We're feeling relief. We're enjoying the freedom from having to consider your feelings in our daily decisions. We're remembering who we were before we became half of a couple. And here's the test we're really conducting during the break. Can we be happy without you? If we wake up feeling lighter, if we go through our day without thinking about you until evening, if we sleep better alone than we did next to you, then we have our answer. The break also serves another purpose. It's practice for the real breakup. We get to see how you handle separation, how much you fight for the relationship, how you respond to uncertainty. All of this information helps us decide how to handle the final conversation. Here's the truth about breaks from a woman's perspective. They almost never result in getting back together stronger. They result in one person realizing they're better off apart, and usually that person is us. The break was never about taking time to appreciate what we have. It was about taking time to realize how much we don't miss it. The common thread through all these phrases is control. Control of the narrative, control of the timeline, control of how the relationship ends. We're not just leaving, we're orchestrating our exit in a way that preserves our self-image and minimizes our guilt. We use these phrases because they let us control the narrative. Instead of being the woman who fell out of love, we become the woman who was tired, needed space, or wanted the best for you. Each phrase is a step in our emotional exit strategy. We're not just leaving the relationship. We're leaving while maintaining our self-image as someone who tried, someone who cared, someone who handled things maturely. The reason these phrases work so well is that they're all technically true. We are tired of pretending. We do need space to breathe without you. You do deserve better than someone whose heart isn't fully present. But here's what most men don't understand about women. We practice these conversations in our heads long before we have them with you. We know exactly how we want to sound, what reaction we're hoping for, and how we'll respond to different scenarios. And the biggest outcome we're trying to achieve is a clean exit. We want to leave without being the bad guy, without destroying you, without having to face the full weight of our decision to stop loving you. But the real truth behind all these phrases is simple. We've already left emotionally, and we're just waiting for reality to catch up. The cruelest irony is that by using these phrases to protect your feelings, we're actually prolonging your pain. A clean break would hurt more initially, but heal faster. Instead, we give you false hope, mixed signals, and months of confusion while we slowly withdraw our emotional investment. This is why understanding these phrases is so crucial for men. Not to manipulate us back into loving you, but to recognize when you're being slowly released rather than temporarily challenged. When you hear these phrases, your instinct might be to argue, to prove us wrong, to fight for the relationship. But by the time we're using this language, the emotional decision has already been made. You're not fighting for us. You're fighting against a conclusion we've already reached. The strongest response is often no response at all. When we say we're tired, don't try to energize us. When we say we need space, don't negotiate for less. When we say you deserve better, don't try to convince us we're wrong. The reason silence is so powerful in these moments is that it forces us to sit with our own words. When you don't push back, when you don't chase, when you don't try to fix what we're telling you is broken, we have to face the full weight of what we're actually saying. But here's what happens when you do fight these phrases. When you argue that you're not overthinking, when you prove that we do have energy for other things, when you list all the ways you don't deserve better, you actually push us further away. Your worth isn't determined by our ability to love you consistently. Sometimes people change, feelings fade, and relationships end despite everyone's best efforts. That's not a reflection of your value. It's just the reality of human emotion. Here's what most men don't realize. The way you respond to these phrases determines how much respect we have for you after the relationship ends. The man who hears these signals and gracefully steps back is the man we remember fondly. The man who fights them becomes the man we have to get away from. And if you're wondering whether there's any way to save a relationship once these phrases start appearing, here's the honest answer: very rarely. By the time we're using this language, we've usually been thinking about leaving for months. The man who can hear these phrases and walk away with his dignity intact is the man we end up respecting most, even if we're no longer in love with him. I've told you these things to arm you with truth. When we use these phrases, we're not just communicating, we're revealing. The question isn't whether you can change our minds, it's whether you're strong enough to face what we're really saying and respond accordingly. Understanding this language doesn't make you paranoid, it makes you aware. It allows you to see clearly what's happening, instead of living in the confusion of mixed messages and false hope. And here's something I want every man watching this to understand. When a woman is truly in love, truly committed, truly invested in a future with you, she doesn't speak in code. She doesn't leave breadcrumbs for you to follow. She doesn't make you guess where you stand. A woman who wants to be with you will show up consistently, communicate directly, and work through problems rather than creating distance. If you're hearing these phrases regularly, you're not with a woman who's going through a rough patch. You're with a woman who's already emotionally moved on. The gift in recognizing these phrases early is that it allows you to preserve your dignity, your energy, and your emotional investment for someone who actually wants what you're offering. Subscribe if you want more unfiltered truth from a woman's perspective. This channel isn't about making anyone feel good. It's about telling the truth that can set you free from wasting your time on people who've already decided you're not the one. Comment below if you've heard any of these phrases. Just type "I heard it," because knowing you're not alone in this experience matters. Thousands of good men have sat through these same conversations, felt the same confusion, and wondered what they did wrong. And remember, when someone shows you who they are through their words, believe them. These phrases aren't cries for help. They're announcements of departure. The question is whether you'll hear them as the goodbye they actually are, or keep hoping they mean something else.